Adoption is the big thing that we are all looking at the moment in the Cardano space and crypto in general, really. The Cardano ecosystem has really good decentralization. We have a massive community, we have a high level of security and deterministic blockchain that works just flawlessly anytime you want to use it. But we don't have this mass adoption that we are all looking for. Why aren't people flocking to the chain? I'm going to have a look into this, see what people are interested in at the moment, and try and work out where Cardano's future path could be and what projects could help with adoption on Cardano. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Peter Buey and I talk all things Cardano, and if that's something that you like, thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell. I'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening in the Cardano space and more broadly crypto as well. But let's have a look at this adoption path and what we need to do in the Cardano space to try and drive more adoption and bring in more users. The very first thing I'll look at here is what's hot at the moment, and PolyMarkets is extremely hot. This has grown phenomenally and has gone mainstream. I was listening to a podcast on Wall Street Journal and they were talking about PolyMarkets and the amount of liquidity that is being locked into these prediction markets that they have at the moment. So this is an example here. You can predict an outcome of a particular event, for example, like who's going to win the states, various states in the election, who's going to win the popular vote in the US election, etc., etc. So you can put a bet on here and have a yes or no outcome, and that's governed by smart contracts, and you can lock in all sorts of liquidity on that. So these are the various bets here on the platform at the moment, and you can see here this has got 955.2 million in this particular bet. This one here has got 212, and so on. These are large numbers. This is something that has caught the attention of the masses out there, and people are using it and adopting crypto. So PolyMarkets is definitely something that's been in the headlines and really resonates with people. If you have a look at the stats here, this is from June Analytics, and have a look at the monthly volume here. This is just skyrocketing at the moment. But you hear see in March, but as soon as the US election started ramping up, we saw massive amounts of monthly active traders on the platform itself on PolyMarkets. And it's just absolutely skyrocketing. And this is the type of adoption that we need. This is it is mostly driven by the US election and is giving an outlet for people to bet on the particular outcome and make some money out of it. Now, this is the important thing to take out of this. People are looking for gains. And at the moment, the only way that people can make gains is through betting. Being able to trade commodities such as Apple stocks and things like that isn't quite legal yet. There are projects making headway towards it, and I'll talk about what Cardano is doing about that in a moment. But a lot of projects can't do this. I can't start up a crypto project and say, hey, if you buy my token, you earn profits from this particular project. It's essentially a security, and I have to go through the whole legal aspect to be able to do that properly. So that isn't very well put into place on the crypto ecosystem at the moment. And the only thing that really works is the betting and the Memecoins and all that stuff. So the stuff that isn't tied into securities, because there are things like the CFTC that do clamp down on particular aspects like this. But you can see here that PolyMarkets has had a massive impact in terms of crypto adoption, taking things mainstream. And this is what we also need in the Cardano space. Now, Cardano does have an up and coming prediction market. This is Phorion, and I did an interview, I think a while back. I can't remember when I did the interview, but I'll put a link down below for you guys so you can check it out and get a better understanding of it. But they're going through their writing of the smart contracts, the interface, the whole platform itself, and they're progressing well, but they're not ready to launch yet. They're almost at preview testnet. I really wish this was done a little bit earlier in conjunction with the US election, because it would have driven a lot of people to the platform as well. There are alternative platforms now launching to compete against PolyMarkets too. So Phorion would have been in the perfect position to prime itself and be ready for this competitive launch as well. But unfortunately not yet. But here's where they're at. So they've completed the order management. They've got order market resolution complete as well. And now they're working through flow testing and optimization. So they've got a little bit more to do, but they do expect a pre-prod testnet update hopefully next week. So keep an eye on this one here. If we can get this one launched before the US election, maybe we'll see a little bit of attraction there in terms of people using Foreign as an alternative to PolyMarkets. So that'd be absolutely awesome to see. If you want to learn more about them, I'll put links down below for you guys. The other project here that I'd like to talk about, Denketsu, they are a multi-chain project. They've been in the Cardano space for a long time, but they did expand over to Polygon. And recently they announced this massive toy deal that they got with J Corp. And this is to build this merchandise toys. We got Shroomy and Bobo, the two characters within their Denketsu metaverse, and they're pretty cool. And this targets the younger crowd. This targets the collectors. And I think it is a really good way for adoption. A lot of us in the space look at it and go, it's a toy. It's an NFT. Big deal. But there is a segment of the market, a very strong segment of the market that look at this and go, wow, this is amazing. I have a whole bunch of these pudgy penguins. These are the plushies. They're made by the same company. I tell my daughter that they're NFT collectibles and she goes crazy for them. So there is a level of adoption here. And if we want to bring more people in, we have to create things and make things that attract those people, that people are actually interested in. So DeFi is great. I love it myself. That's what attracted me to a lot of the crypto projects and getting into the crypto space so I could become a trader. But that stuff brings in a lot of people as well. So if you haven't given this project a follow, please do. I believe their plushies will be launching in November this year. Now, these guys from Epoch Center are doing something really cool, and they're incorporating in crypto into the facility here of this sports center. And I thought this was absolutely brilliant. SNEC is, of course, a really popular meme coin. They're listed on Australian exchanges now as well, but having the branding there, having the energy drinks, all that stuff, it's kind of a fun thing. But, I love what they're doing here. They're incorporating the crypto side of things into the center here so people can use the space. The crypto people can collaborate and join in and do things there. Of course, use the facilities as well. But, it's really showcasing and highlighting what crypto, SNEC, Cardano has to offer as well. So, stuff like this, I love to see more of. I know it does cost money. Not many people can afford to set up something like this. So it does need some money and funding to get up and running. And I'd love to see more funding for this type of stuff. Now, with Cardano governance on the road, this could be possible. And Goofy Chris, the founder of SNEC, has this to say here. Let me read this out for you for the audio listeners. Cardano should use some of its treasury to create a meme coin fund to directly buy top tokens. It will send a strong message that Cardano supports memes and start a chain reaction, more investors, liquidity, teams, volume, listings, users, the whole lot of thing. I bet it would be a very profitable trade. Now, this is something that I think is rather important because like Goofy Chris says here, it does have a snowballing effect. To be able to get a token on an exchange, you need the users, you need the liquidity, you need transaction volume to be able to get onto the exchanges. Now, with the Australian exchange SwiftX, I did reach out to the team and ask them why did they list SNEC and what was the decision process behind it. And it all comes down to the users. If people want a token listed on the exchange, you just fill out a form. It has to be a unique user and you put in that request. And when there are enough of those requests, then they'll list a token. It's as simple as that. So you need more users that are interested in the particular token. You need more users that put in the request to the exchange so they will start listing it on there. Now, this here at the moment is just a listing of the token itself. So they'll probably hold some and then be the market maker behind it. But there's no way at the moment that you can actually withdraw that SNEC or deposit SNEC onto the exchange itself. So you can't use it as an on and off ramp to fiat currency through the exchange. But they will do that work if there is the demand for it. So it needs and requires this demand on the chain itself, behind the project, behind the community to get the exchanges to this point and get them to create and do the rest of the development around making this full on and off ramp between the Cardano ecosystem and the exchange itself. Now, why is this important? Why do you want exchange listings? Can't we just do this on DeFi? Can't we just do it all on the Cardano ecosystem? And I'd have a massive argument in terms of adoption is with apps like this. Crypto.com. So this app here alone, I know so many people here in Australia use to buy their assets. They scroll through here, it's full of meme coins, it's full of who knows what, and they don't care. They just look at it. You can click on one of the projects, you read a little bit of a description, you look at a price chart going up, and then you just buy it. That's it. And I've spoken to some people here in Australia about that. It's like, what's your mentality behind selecting a particular token? What's your trading strategy there? And it's just, I look at it, I'll look at the page on the exchange app, I put in some fiat currency, and then I just randomly pick and choose something that sounds good. That's their strategy. That's the road to adoption. If you want more people to buy your token and get listed on a centralized exchange, you need to build up that community and then push it onto these particular apps so that other people that have no idea what they're doing start looking into it. And hopefully they find some of the really good projects out there and start buying up and start participating in the ecosystem. So this is the gateway in. Centralized exchanges are a key way to get more adoption. So Goofy Crisp here is trying to push this. He is becoming a D-Rep. He will invest heavily in builders. Fantastic. Energize CNTs with market makers and sex listings. Absolutely amazing. We need more of that. Boost stablecoin liquidity. That is something hugely needed in the Cardano space so we can trade effectively and we're not trading against another unstable, volatile asset at the moment. So if you support this type of stuff, if you are wanting more exchange listings, more stablecoin liquidity boosted within the ecosystem, delegate to Goofy Crisp here. There is his DREP ID, and Cardano governance is a key thing at the moment. Hopefully we see more adoption there. There you go, Goofy. You got to like. Now, there are some projects that are doing some awesome things, and Nuvula is one of them that is aggregating all of these DePin projects out there. They're running the nodes, they're running the networks for these projects, and then giving the token holders of the project the various rewards. So that is a really good thing for anyone that can't run this type of infrastructure for these projects. So Igon, you can set up infrastructure and become part of their decentralized storage network and compute soon as well. So if you don't have the technical aspects, if you don't have the hardware for it, you can stake your Nuvula tokens and earn some of the rewards while they set up the infrastructure for you. Same with OrcFax with their Oracle network, Minutes network with their telecommunications network and selling the time that you can use on your cell phone. And then also Cornucopias running some of their decentralized gaming nodes. So this is all the things that Nuvula can do to try and ease the adoption of DePin projects. Now, there is a slight thing that I want to pick at here, and this is the adoption of these various projects. Now, Igon, fantastic. I'd love the amount of Igon node operators out there. There's a lot of storage space on there at the moment, but I'd love to see more people actually use their storage services. I've heard down the pipeline that there are some big players that are looking into Igon storage and using it, and then the other big players using their compute power as well. But I'd love to see more people just use Igon as a storage service, as a replacement for Dropbox, as a replacement for Google Drive, and all those other different services. I don't know their user base at the moment, but this is something that I think needs to be driven and something that the Igon team also need to push as well. This goes the same with OrcFax. There's a lot of projects out there that aren't using oracles, and the Cardano space really needs to use oracles, and OrcFax needs to push that as a selling point and get all these DApps out there using the Oracle network so that they can have the best prices out there. So, this is something, again, adoption within the Cardano ecosystem is needed. Same with Minute Network. I know they're still growing at the moment, it's still very early days, but I'd love to actually see users use their platform as well. And last but not least, Cornucopias. Amazing game. It looks fantastic, but it doesn't mean people are playing the game at the moment. It's still very early days. I played the racing game. I had some bugs. I was doing something wrong. It's not easy, but we need more people actually playing the game on a consistent basis. Anytime I logged into a server, I was pretty much the only one that was on that particular server at any time that I was on. So we need more people actually playing the game, more adoption there. And we need a reason for people to actually play the game as well. At the moment, when I'm playing I'm just exploring the world. I'm looking around, recording some footage. Great. That's really nice. But there's no reason for me to come back. It's not the type of game that I'd play for hours on end every single day. We have to work on that. So there's these projects here are really good. They're building some really cool things, but the adoption needs to still drive into those particular projects as well. Now, Dedium is another project that is doing the GPU compute power, the decentralization of that. So if you have a GPU that's in your PC or whatever, you can share that and rent it out on their platform. And they did a soft launch, and this is good. Now, I did have a play around with this one here. So from my understanding, they do have some clients already, some enterprise level clients. And this is the platform here. Everything on their platform is already rented out. There's some GPUs that are renting very cheaply here, like 18 a month, 54 a month. Sorry, it's really hard to see because they've all been rented out and it's been darkened. But we've got some hardware here. This is an A100. This is one of the really expensive NVIDIA cards. I think it's around 60,000 Australian dollars, but you can rent that out for 1,250 a month. So eventually you get your money back for it. But you can see here that Dedium have launched their product. It's still a soft launch at the moment, so they don't have a massive amount of GPU power that can be rented from their platform, but it's in the works. It's working, and people are starting to order things on their platform and providing GPU power on their platform. So slowly we're seeing the adoption of this one here, and hopefully see a lot more of this because AI compute power is in big need. It's in high demand, and hopefully we do see Dedium being one of those projects that really pushes the decentralized GPU compute power out there for a lot of the projects in the AI space. Fluid Tokens is an awesome project that's built really well on the Cardano ecosystem. They're a borrowing lending protocol. They use exotic assets such as NFTs. You can rent out your NFTs on the platform. You can rent out your staking power on the platform. So there's a lot of really cool things that they've put together, and they expanded over to the Bitcoin ecosystem. So they've done some really cool stuff. Their token is now going over to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think this is really good. There's a lot of projects that expand and go multi-chain. EnMaker went multi-chain, for example. There's other projects too, such as World Mobile. They've gone multi-chain. They're looking to move over to Base 2. And I think it's a really good thing. I think it's important. We need to break out of our bubble, that Cardano sphere, and then attract users to and back to Cardano. Highlight and showcase the projects that are building and say, hey, it's actually built on Cardano and it's really good tech. Why don't you give it a try? This is something that's really important. And Fluid Tokens, yes, some people think big deal. I think it is a big deal. I think it's really important that, things like this is enabled and people do look further than just on Cardano itself too. Now, the other really big thing is the tokenization of real world assets, gold being a commodity. And I think this is a really important thing that needs to be hopefully rolled out this year. I really hope that tokenized gold is rolled out this year. So Emergo have announced a partnership with Kinka Gold, a subsidiary of the Unbanked Inc., a publicly listed neo-finance services company in Japan, to provide the technology behind the issuance of their gold-backed tokens on Cardano. Each gold token will represent 1 ounce of premium Japanese gold that meets all LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association standards. This gold is designed for use on the Osaka Exchange and is securely held in a bankruptcy remote vaults worldwide. So this is what we need. This LBMA is actually really important. So if you meet that certification, it's the real deal. So this is the type of adoption that we need. And I will be one of the first people to hold gold as a tokenized asset on Cardano if this one comes into the chain. When will it? I don't know. Really hope it is this year. Cardano Summit's around the corner. Come on, Amerigo, make this happen. I really hope it does. But they're not the only ones that are looking into bringing gold onto the chain. We also have Finest Investments, and they're looking into doing this as well. It'll be a wild ride when we launch tokenized gold very soon, as non-crypto investors will invest with us as well. We'll actually help them to onboard with KYC and more. By the way, if you store your KYC with the IMX wallet, you'll enjoy a more convenient experience with DocuFi 3D, including an option to sign with biometrics if you prefer. So this is using all the really cool stuff that the teams have put together to be able to tokenize gold and bring it on chain. Now, the other thing you may not have noticed on their website is they're looking at tokenizing stocks such as Apple shares. This is a big deal. There's a lot of other exchanges previously. If you look back at 2017, there were exchanges that were tokenizing shares on their exchanges. And I thought that was fantastic. It opened up the doorway for me to easily gain access to various shares that I couldn't access here in Australia without a very large bank account. So I could buy a small portion of Tesla, I could buy a small portion of Apple on their exchange itself, and I could use $100 and I was in. It was great. And I could see the gains from that really, really well. But of course, there are all these legal aspects behind it. You can't do that without the regulatory licenses and everything else. But Finest here, if you guys are showing this on your homepage of the website, I can only assume that you have the regulatory licenses to be able to do this. I know you guys have been working on it as well. So I'm really bullish to see that. I know the first one was tokenized granite. Come on, what was that? But Apple shares here, tokenized gold, and more assets to come later, I'm really excited about. This is a perfect use case for blockchain. I know a lot of people are looking into tokenizing this type of stuff. So I'm really excited about this. The other project that is tokenizing gold is Tvvin. This will come into play very soon as well. They've been working on their UI, the platform itself. So I know this is probably the easiest part of the project. Creating the backend, the platform, the smart contracts behind it. This is the easier side now. The regulation and the custodial of the gold, that's the harder side. And I know the teams have been working on this really hard to make it all happen. So we've got 3 players here in the space that are working on a really good way for adoption to happen on the Cardano space. So we have Emergo and Kinka bring in gold. We have Finest working with their custodian to bring in gold as well. And then we have Tvvin working with their partners to bring gold to the Cardano ecosystem. So we have 3 players bringing gold and real world assets to the Cardano ecosystem. Cannot wait for this to happen. It really needs to happen this year to really drive that adoption into the space. Now, the other player here in the real world asset side of things is Palmyra. This is way left field. This is, you think real world assets, property, you think gold, you think silver, all those things. They're commoditized tea and other things like that people around the world do trade and do need to trade, but they've done it so and used blockchain to make it easier for people to do so. So you can easily trade this online through their platform, and they've digitalized and digitally transformed a lot of these operators out there. So this is I know they work primarily in Sri Lanka at the moment, and they've digitalized the whole tea market there and brought them all on chain. So they've gone from paper, they've skipped the Web 2 experience and gone all the way to Web 3. So this is an amazing stuff that they're doing here. Me as a regular user though, this doesn't appeal to me. This doesn't scream to me, hey, let's buy this tea and go to the moon. I know that regular retail in crypto, they wouldn't be interested in this type of stuff. But for the tea market, for this particular segment of the space, they would be interested in this type of thing. So different target audience, but very good use case there in general. So Palmyra, Tvvin, Finest, and Emergo, keep your eye on all those for RWAs on Cardano. So where to from here? So obviously adoption is the big key, and key players such as the Cardano Foundation are working on this. If you have a look at the Cardano Summit outline, the agenda, almost every single presentation is about adoption. If you have a look here on day 2 of the summit, we have a whole stream here on the pitch stage that is dedicated to adoption. Everything from zero knowledge proofs to real world assets, bringing liquidity, all these things to bring adoption to Cardano. If you are going to this summit, I really hope you get something out of this. Unfortunately, I won't be going this year, but I would have loved to seen some of these presentations about adoption for the Cardano ecosystem. So very exciting to see that there is such a focus on adoption this year. The other thing to keep an eye on is what's happening here in Argentina. There is a massive focus with Cardano and Argentina. The Cardano Foundation are working with a province over there to bring in identity solutions as a pilot. But then Charles himself is also meeting with the Argentinian president, Javier Milei, to talk through how blockchain can help rewrite the global economy and political system. So using blockchain for voting, using blockchain for stable coins and everything else around it. Maybe we'll see a big announcement from it. Maybe we'll see Charles present at this tech forum here in Argentina alongside the president of Argentina and talk about how the adoption of Cardano could help Argentina with its economic situations and also with the democratic voting process within the country as well. Maybe they have a partnership. I don't know, but I really hope we do see something come out of this meeting. Charles mentioned in a tweet or a video, I can't remember where I saw it, that he won't be going to the Cardano summit because he has to go over to Argentina and meet with the president there. So fingers crossed, there is something big coming out of that one in terms of adoption of Cardano at a government level in Argentina. That's all I have for you guys in this particular video. If you have any ideas of how we can drive more adoption to the Cardano ecosystem, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Have your own rant down below. Maybe there's something I can cover in the videos upcoming as well. Maybe there is. Now, if you like the video in general, hit that thumbs up, hit subscribe, click on the notification bell. You know the drill. Helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you in the next video.